When large jobs require moving massive amounts of snow, get the work done quickly and efficiently with the Western Pile Driver and all-new Pile Driver XL pusher plows, both featuring Trace Edge technology. These pushers scrape down to the pavement with an advanced cutting-edge system that has independent 2-foot sections that move vertically, oscillate, and trip. Get more jobs done faster with the Western Pile Driver lineup of pusher plows.
Mike Bott from Frost Solutions, one of the owners of the company. What we do is provide a mini weather station to give you a tailored forecast to those particular locations so you know where and when and what to do in those parts of town. You know there's 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 different ways that people can experience tremendous value having a technology like this.
Welcome to the Entrepreneurial Journey with your host, Dave Westcott. The Entrepreneurial Journey is a weekly podcast that streams live every Tuesday at 9:15 a.m. Pacific on Dave's YouTube channel and LinkedIn profile. Now here's Dave with this week's episode.
Good morning and welcome to the Entrepreneurial Journey. I'm your host, Dave Westcott, and I have with me this morning special guest, Jessica Cvetic. Good morning, Jessica.
Dave. Good morning. It's such an honor to be here, and it's been a long time coming, so I'm so happy to be on the show with you.
I'm so glad that you're here as well. And from what I understand, your last name means little flower.
That's correct. My married name. So I married a wonderful, handsome, and very intelligent Serbian man who I've been married to for 15 years, and so he gifted me with that last name, Little Flower.
Wow, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Is that how all Serbian names are? Do they have some kind of meaning behind them, or?
Yeah, a lot of them actually do. But most importantly, you can always recognize if something has IC at the end in the Slavic languages, it means a little of whatever the forefront of the word is.
Huh. That's interesting. Well, you've been married for 15 years. You have some kids too, don't you?
I do, yes. I call it the Cvetic Circus. I have 2 daughters. They're 6 and 12, so they keep me both entertained and challenged outside of everything citrus in my business.
That's good. I have 3 children myself, and I will tell you that, you know, it is kind of like a circus. I'll tell you what, like you wish they would just get along.
It truly is, yeah. And if you could only have seen the scene this morning when I dropped them off at school, it was not a good morning, Dave, to say the least. And you're lucky I still have a voice.
That's awesome. I love it because school is starting, right? Was this the first day of school?
No, actually, they started August 11th, so we're kind of in the swing of things.
Whoa, they've been in school for a long time. I mean, a month.
Yeah.
Wow.
It has been, yeah. So we're back on track, but today was just a one-off.
All right. Well, you know, those happen every other day, so it's cool. You know,
Exactly.
All right.
Is reality.
It is the reality of having kids. You know, they need constant whatever they need to keep the engines going. So you are founder of the business that you said, Citrus Aesthetics Med Spa. And you are starting, or you are franchising Citrus Franchising, correct?
That is correct. Yes. Very exciting. We just got approved in the state of California, officially August 5th for franchising Citrus Med Spas.
Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you. And I actually just got notification this morning. I was a little bit anxious about the timing with all these governmental processes. You never know. But the trademark of citrus actually just got finalized and approved as well, which is a really big step.
Wow, that's amazing. So, because we talked, I don't know what it was, 3 or 4 months ago, something like that, and you were on the path of the franchise business.
Yeah,
it was starting,
yeah.
And now it's real. So your FDD is done.
FDD is done, approved. I'm starting to get organic leads coming in, so I'm building out the lead nurturing strategies, which I'm sure you're all too familiar with. And I want to pick your brain. I don't know if now on this podcast is the best time or another time. But yeah, really getting into just the learning process. I mean, it is this phrase, you fake it till you make it, is a little bit accurate. However, you learn and you research and you ask questions and you pick people's brains as much as you possibly can to prepare in the best possible way. But it is
Yep.
still such a winging it kind of process. I mean, every day I'm learning so much.
Yeah, it's tough. And franchising is a great way to scale and to grow your brand and your business, and it's very exciting. The one thing that I think that you always have to think about and measure is that you are working with people that have some sort of control over your brand and your business, and you can't exactly tell them how to operate the business anymore.
Yeah.
And that's one of the toughest parts. Like they might say, I like to sleep in till 10. I like to take Saturdays and Sundays off, So I
Yeah.
think, as you go through this journey, choosing the right franchise partners is the most important thing. And you hear that and people talk about it. And then when you're in the grips of selling and bringing somebody on, it's kind of like, oh my God, we got the first one. They're so exciting. They want to buy. They believe in our vision and our business. This is amazing. They're going to pay the fee. And you forget all of the things that were like, wait a minute, they didn't check this box, this box. It's okay. We're going to make an exception for the first one because we're going to put extra effort and help and support into we're going to make them successful. And I think if you could go back and change one thing, it would be, even if it's the first one, it doesn't matter because 1 through 10 come really fast. And then 10 through 100 go pretty quick. So it's never compromising on that person because that person has the power to destroy or grow your brand. And so as you go through it, that's my only commentary.
Those words have stuck with me and have become like a Bible to me in this franchise process, Dave, because I don't know if you recall when we were on the blocks, the entrepreneurial reality show together,
Yeah.
you spoke to me that exactly. And it really, no one was that transparent with me who I'd had previous conversations with. And what stuck with me is that in order to carry on the brand that, and I'm sure every franchisor feels this way, I've poured my passion in, my life's work has led me up to this point. You can have one person legitimately ruin that whole model if you take on in a desperate kind of way, take on franchisees that don't meet your expectations, or you can really set yourself up foundationally in an excellent way. And so what I did for myself, I said, all right, I got approved August 5th, 2025. If I'm having organic leads, I'm putting in my marketing, I'm getting leads coming in, I'm going through that lead nurturing, and I'm having people come in, but I don't accept and move forward with a first franchisee until a year later, that's okay.
Yeah.
Because I know that that is the key to what's going to set me up for success later on. And so I do want to thank you for telling me this going into the process. I think that's one of the make or break factors initially of what can set a successful franchise up versus a non-successful franchise is where we set our standards and not letting our excitement get the best of us and accepting someone in even though we have all these red flags going
Yep.
on about this person, but our hope and what we see as their potential could be, and we move forward with them as opposed to listening to that. There's a word that I apply both in my aesthetic skills and entrepreneurship of gestalt, meaning that intuitive sense that comes after gaining experience. And it's very interesting to me because a lot of what I do is science-backed research, and there's not much research behind this concept. However, it's that just those little red flags that we're sensing. And when when you don't listen to those red flags and move forward with a franchisee anyways, you're going to pay for it on the back end. And I think you're speaking from experience likely in having told me that
I'm
as
absolutely
advice.
speaking from experience. And I heard those same words get reiterated to me. And I'll tell you that I don't think we closed our first franchise until 12 to 14 months, after we had started selling franchises. And we would see hundreds of leads come in. And those were some lessons that we learned. But I think also some lessons that I learned was that, your franchise team has to be really on point. So I hired a guy by the name of Todd, who had been in franchising for 15 years, worked with some of the biggest brands in the world. And I brought him in to be on our leadership team. And one of the things I learned was that every time there was going to be a problem or a failure or an issue with a franchisee, he would almost know it in advance. But the thing about it was that in our leadership meetings, he didn't have the guts. He didn't have the strength. He didn't have the ability to speak up and tell the group, hey guys, this is what I'm seeing. In my experience, this is going to be your miss.
Yeah.
And, after the fact, after a franchise would be brought on, he would say, oh, these are the problems that you're going to have. These are the things that you're going to, and it was be like, man, you got to speak up. You got to speak up. But he just, he didn't do that. So even as you pick your people, that ability to be honest with you as the leader and that ability to tell you where you're going to miss before you're going to miss is really important. What did I learn? I learned that in franchising, I never want partners, right? If someone wants to buy my franchise and there's two of them together, I'm not interested, because what we saw was that those partners would have friction in the way that they would run their business and they'd blow up. Investors who wanted to be silent investors without actual boots on the ground. Every time one of those people wanted to buy, they would hire somebody in a local market to run a franchise. Bam, it would blow up because they had to keep replacing that general manager. And those were some lessons that we learned. And then we would talk to Todd and he'd be like, oh yeah, I knew. Yeah, that's exactly what I would have said.
I knew that.
Right. And it's like, man, so as you go, you'll learn these lessons. But I think, having that great partner that you can, mentor type relationship where you can bounce things off of, where you can talk about what's happening. What do we think about this candidate? Honest feedback about the candidate that's coming in, because great candidates make your business incredible. And one great candidate telling your story, like, this changed my life. It was the greatest thing I ever invested in. Jessica's amazing, right? That means the next person is just like, psh. That's right. Exponential growth, because the next person is like, oh, that worked for them. This was amazing.
Exactly.
So that's my feedback on franchising.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And I have remembered every word of all of that you've told me previously. So it means a lot, you sharing that again for the audience as well.
I know, I just tell this. At least the story's the same, right? At least the story hasn't changed.
You're very consistent. So I know that your mistakes have been hard.
Yeah, they have. Listen, they're hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're hard. Dealing with people is hard. Okay, so Citrus Aesthetics Med Spa, San Diego, California. You're in the Sunshine State, one of the toughest states in the world to franchise in, by the way. All of the requirements.
I love a great challenge, Dave.
Well, you've definitely climbed the mountain, and it's very, very cool. So, what is Citrus Aesthetics? What do you guys do day to day?
Citrus Aesthetics is a solo practice med spa. So it's a place where you can come to get anti-aging treatments, medical aesthetic treatments, and skincare treatments in order to look and feel your absolute best. And the approach I take is a focus on three things: ethics in medicine, which is an oath I took in PA school in my master's degree, medical school, which is overlooked in aesthetic medicine because it's a new field. So prioritizing ethics, prioritizing genuine one-on-one relationships, because most of the competition is a larger chain practice. A client comes in, doesn't know who their provider is going to be, but is supposed to trust them with their face. and making their face look normal and stay normal appearing. And the third thing carried off of that is natural results. There's a stigma that I'm sure everyone is familiar with, where you can spot someone on the street where you're genuinely concerned about them and their well-being
Yep.
because of the way that they look. And so I set out with citrus, and that's the feel you get with just the word natural, refreshing, rejuvenating. I set out on a mission as the sole owner and one provider to get trained internationally by the best in the aesthetics industry, because in order to be the best and give the best results, I need to know the technical skills in order to give those excellent natural results that are both subtle but undetectable. That's what aesthetics should be, an undetectable type of treatment where you're really truly transforming that patient because of something that they're self-conscious of. My clients truly come out of citrus transformed, because when you're more confident in the way you look, it transpires and affects every aspect of your life, how you interact with your family, your friends, how confident you are in your career. It propels people in their career path, gives them confidence back in the dating scene. It's really incredible what I'm able to do, and it's a complete, I would say, opposite thing from what I dealt with when I was a PA in the ER, specifically through COVID, where people's lives were in my hands. And when someone passes out because they're scared of a needle at Citrus, I get excited because that's bringing back my ER days. But overall, I don't have lives in my hands anymore in that sense of life or death. But it's really incredible what I'm able to do in regards to transforming people. And I've built an incredible business model as well that I've spoken to you about, that is it's essentially a solopreneur model, very low overhead. So I've had absolutely no pressure financially for anyone to walk in the door and pay me. It comes organically. I do what's best for the clients, and the growth, the scaling, and the ROI comes after. I think that's one of the most important things. An entrepreneur should never be desperate and never have such a high overhead cost that they're concerned and desperate for those customers to pay. And so what I've built is essentially a model of a med spa of about 50% profitability, where most other comparative med spa models are about 10 to 30%.
Wow.
A model where I offer completely free hour-long consultations. That means that client does not pay anything to come and consult for 1 hour, in comparison to most med spas take 10, 15 minutes with a client. That extra time I take to invest is solely for educating the client, building trust, and creating long-term treatment plans. So my average AOV, average order value, is between 12 to 1,500, and most med spas average order value of around $300. So higher quality over quantity, so I don't get burned out as a business owner and an aesthetic provider. And the next thing, going back to those free consultations, that's a risk I take essentially, but I have about a 99% conversion rate of free consultation to treatment. So it's a way where I bring that client in and I really optimize that time. And that time is also, a lot of med spas see that time free, 1 hour. That's such a high business risk. That 1 hour of time, that client can move forward with, let's say, a potential 6 to 12 month treatment plan with me at Citrus. That will, and I am so confident in what I offer in my results, that it can help them feel and look 5 to 10 years younger after working with me for a year. And that first time client can pay $10,000 based on treatments they prepay for. So their entire treatment plan is taken care of. I make it as simple as possible, no stress on them, pre-book their appointments, educate them about everything so there's no questions. that trust is 100% built. So it's seemingly quite a simple concept, but it's quite unique in the aesthetics industry.
Well, that's amazing. That's quite the business. I love all of the facts that you have. The 99% conversion rate, the 1 hour consult, which converts, the $1,200 to $1,500, per service versus the $300 that's typically in the industry. It sounds like a really organic business. Now, this solopreneur business, does that mean that, let's say I buy a franchise, I come in, I am the one administering the services, I'm the one meeting with the customers. Do I have staff in this business, or is it just me?
Great question. I hate to break it to you, Dave, but I wouldn't accept you as a franchisee.
Oh, bummer.
The reason
So it's not
being
me.
is it's not you, because the niche is a highly qualified aesthetic provider who can run the practice and has likely one assistant. So the model is one owner operator who's a highly qualified aesthetic provider, either a nurse, NP, PA, or physician, and they have one assistant to manage the practice. But for example, I ran Citrus solely the first year to year and a half, and was able to basically become profitable within month 2 or 3. By the way, I unfortunately don't come from the heir of a rich aunt or mom or grandma or anything. So and some people call me crazy for having done this, but I took out my 401k in order to start Citrus. And it was a big risk on me and my family. My husband was a stay-at-home dad at the time. I was still working full-time urgent care when I started Citrus. So a lot was on the line. However, it paid off quite quickly. So now I've created a model for these solo aesthetic providers to get off the ground running, having learned all the mistakes that I made, and giving them a full playbook, because a lot of these people don't have a business background, don't know how to run a business, don't know the really stringent medical legal laws associated with running a med spa. They don't essentially have access to a tech stack that's efficient for the business. So I have a full, essentially a company that I've partnered with that has a full proprietary tech stack that's really one of a kind in the industry. It's all inclusive, EMR, POS, CRM system, inventory is included, bookkeeping is included, appointment booking, messaging, essentially everything you need in one tech stack. And so with that being said, I hope to really create accessibility to entrepreneurship for aesthetic providers who are burned out and dissatisfied with their current jobs working in these larger med spa practices.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. So
Thank
what
you.
does it look like? Are you selling franchises outside of California, or are we just in California right now?
Just in California right now, again, focusing on really getting those first few, I agree with you, 1 to 10 franchisees, really nurtured, successful, pouring into them. And in order to do that realistically, I'm, somewhat phasing out of my corporate location, Citrus Med Spa, but still I'm the solo provider there. But in order to make sure that that foundation is laid to carry on the reputation and make sure to gain traction for Citrus, I want to be a fully involved franchisor. I want to provide the support. I want to be there for mentorship. I want to be there for training. And in order to do that, I really want to hone in on Southern California to be able to access these initial franchisee locations and then move on from there. The goal is 60 to 100 Citrus franchises in the next 5 years nationally. And then year 3 or 4, the goal is also to extend this model internationally.
Wow, that's big plans.
It is.
We're going to see you on Forbes magazine before you know it. That's
I love that.
that's
That's a
awesome.
great goal.
It is a great goal, right? And it's awesome. I think you're doing it for sure. What
Thank
kind
you.
of continued education do you do? I'm a big believer in, leaders always leveling up and growing, and the
Okay.
blocks was awesome. I mean, that was a great thing to be a part of, and you did a great job there. You won sixth
Thank
place.
you.
That's awesome. But what do you do continued education wise to keep
Mhm.
yourself sharp and at the top of your game?
Yeah, so I am always involved in any kind of training conference, whether that's in the industry I'm in, aesthetic medicine, like I mentioned, continuing my training to optimize my techniques of what the actual business is, but also outside of the business. I don't come from a business family. I never ran a business prior to Citrus. I always had that kind of business mindset. This is like a super cheesy example. However, in middle school, I, got the simplest things for lunch, and I always wanted those Nutter Butter bars. Do you remember
Yeah.
those?
Yep. Yep.
So they
Yep.
were like a quarter, 50 cents. And I really fine tuned my technique for French braiding. And so I would charge my friends a quarter every time they asked me to French braid their hair. So this carried on. I had many business fails. For example, in college, I created this lifesaver pamphlet babysitter with my smiling face on the cover, and I passed it out to 300 homes near me. I didn't hear back from anybody. So I I mean, I always had these kind of aspirations, but never actually ran a business prior to Citrus. And so I know what I don't know, and that's a lot still on a daily basis. And that mindset of that continued learning, there's a specific phrase of, you know what you don't know, or correct me if I'm wrong on
Yep.
how to say that. However, the point being, when I realized, all right, I'm making this big next step in scaling Citrus, I need to essentially gain uh, an MBA in knowledge, but I don't have the time for it. So how do I balance? I commit myself to conferences. I had the recent experience of joining an incredible, similar to the Blocks lifetime experience of an entrepreneurial third time conference Richard Branson has held on Necker Island. And I'm sure he's a
Hmm.
visionary business owner, started from the top with from the bottom with Virgin Records and worked his way up, and is really making waves in industries that he has no business being in, cruise lines, airlines, all of
Yep.
these things. But being able to be surrounded by mentors like him has changed my mindset, my trajectory, my goals, my vision. And so being able to not only have one on one conversations with all of the Virgin top level executives and Richard himself as well. Those are the kinds of experiences and opportunities that I never say no to.
Yep.
I do say no now to things that don't get me to that next step, don't teach me that next thing I'm looking for. And so I have to really prioritize my time um, in regards to what I commit to. And so I'm always training, always traveling, and this is amidst continuing to run a successful business as well.
Man, that's awesome. You are doing a great job. I'd love to go back to the part where, you've got this, this lifesaver, babysitting deal. You charged a quarter to, braid hair and so forth. So you've always
Yeah.
had this entrepreneurial spirit in you, but it sounded like you were doing some nursing. You're in, the medical field. COVID's happening. What was that final push that just said, I'm starting my own business? Like, how did you get off the couch? How did you do it? Why did you take the leap? Like, what was it
Uh,
inside of you that just said, I'm done being on the hamster wheel and here I go?
yeah. Getting fired.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah, it was one of the lowest points in my life. Am uh, I was bullied in middle school for being a goody two shoes, overachiever, teacher's pet. I mean, I go fucking all out, balls out. Like I go 110% no matter what I do. And I never thought that I would ever in my life, my career, get fired. And so it put me in a really low place because I questioned why do I do all of this for somebody else? So to give you an idea, I had been working in the ER in Arizona, in a small town, Safford, Arizona, during COVID. It was a really, really difficult time period. I dealt with more patient deaths than I ever thought I would in my entire PA career. I was working part-time in aesthetics at the same time. And my husband and I decided we wanted to move to San Diego. My brother-in-law lives there for other reasons as well. And so I found a job in an urgent care, kind of a mom and pop urgent care. I really liked the business model, was very inspired by them, where they brought their business ground up. And so the day that I was going to put my 2 weeks notice in to the ER, by the way, we had sold our house in Arizona. I had 2 kids, my husband, stay-at-home dad. So everything was kind of reliant on my job. And this couple who had hired me calls me and apologizes and says, "We're so sorry, but we can't hire you anymore." And so luckily I'd been working in my ER for 3 years. I walk in that shift to the ER saying, "Hey, I just want to give you guys a heads up. I was planning to put my 2 weeks notice in because I had already kind of planted that seed out of respect for the
Yep.
place that I worked. And I said, I can't quit anymore. So I ended up doing it was such a blur, 5, 6 months of driving back and forth from California to Arizona to the ER that I worked at until I found another job. Full circle, I still ended up working for that couple in that urgent care because the house we rented, there was a really nice 7-year-old handyman. And we started chatting and I said, "Hey, I'm looking for a job." He said, "Oh, I know a couple who runs an urgent care." And I go, "Well, do their names happen to be so-and-so?" He goes, "Yes, I highly recommend them." And I was like, "Well, let me explain how I got screwed over by them." And I just realized in that moment, you either make a decision to burn a bridge or you make a decision to carry on, have perspective of that other person's situation, and carry on and feed into a relationship. And I decided to message them because I said, "You know what? There could be countless reasons. I don't know why they couldn't hire me anymore. There could be countless reasons." So I reached out to them and I said, "Hey, I'm in California. I still haven't found a job. I just want to let you know, I still really appreciate what you guys have done with your business. If you're still open, I just want to let you know, you can always reach out." A week later, he reached out and said, "Hey, things have changed for us. We'd like to hire you." I ended up working for them.
Wow.
Yeah. I ended up working for them for about a year and a half. It was still crazy times, COVID. And when I say I'm a workhorse, I don't mean it in a boastful way at all. I just mean it plain factually. So it was extremely busy. We had 3 PAs total, and we were incentivized. So if we saw more than 4 patients in an hour, we got extra pay.
Wow.
So I remember one day when I was maximum, I saw 80 urgent care patients plus 21. They did a community effort, volunteer effort as well, where we were doing physicals on high school kids. And I saw an additional 21 physicals. And when I look back, I think, how the hell was that humanly possible? One, how the hell did I not lose my license by missing something critical on these patients? And third, there was a component in regards to, and this built everything that I have at Citrus now in regards to work environment, culture I create for my employees. There was one employee that was not so much of a workhorse as I was. And so there was resentment that was starting to happen because she knew my paycheck was a lot higher than hers because of the system that this couple had created for seeing patients. So when I saw 80, she would say, "See 40." So that means
Wow.
my paycheck was almost double. And so she began to complain. She was always someone who was a very negative force, to the point of the MAs working there when I got hired. They were like, "Oh my gosh, you're such a positive person. Thank you for being here. You're going to change our whole work environment." Long story short, I encouraged a lot of those MAs to end up going to PA school, taught them a lot, pushed them forward in their own
Wow.
careers. There began to be such resentment that I was back in like my middle school days of being bullied for being good, for doing a good job. This ex colleague of mine, she could not stand me because I just for being a hard worker, just for, doing things that this work environment had created, to the point of like she would shove me when I would walk into a patient room, trying to beat me to the room, just all these awful things. So I said, "It's okay. Like, I can handle this." I was miserable, by the way, like having difficulty at home. I was crying every night. I was like, this is an adult work environment. I'm being bullied. So I would go to this couple who owned the clinic. The husband was so thankful. He was so thankful to have me working there because he saw what kind of work ethic I had. I said, "It's going to be no problem. I just need to let them know each incident." They encouraged me. They said, "Let's just document this." Okay, so 2 months went on, 6 months went on. I continued to tell them, I continued to become more miserable. And finally, I had had enough. I'm very collegial, but I would say my strong suit is not confrontation and causing a scene.
Sure.
And one day she comes at me, some kindergarten type of thing. Like, we always are sitting at the same computer to do our documentation. And one day she just comes and sits at my computer, just the pettiest, hundreds of things like that. And I go, we really need to hash this out. You need to come with me to the back office, and you need to tell me what your problem is, and you need to figure out a way to make this work, because this is completely unprofessional. I'm not going to allow you to talk to me like this anymore, interact with me like this anymore. I'm fed up, and I'm not going to allow this to happen anymore, because I'd gone the other way of trying to tell
Yeah.
the management, the owners. The owners were on vacation, and I come back, and I had called in once in this like year and a half, 2 years that I worked there. I come back, I get called into their office, and I get this paper that says, first, I forget the name of it, but it's like when you do something wrong, there's a certain word, and it was
Yeah.
on this date you called out and you didn't let us know. So that was the first, this what's it called? Agreement, or
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
word.
Yeah.
The second thing was unprofessionalism in communication. And I, like, my whole reality was just jumbled at that point. I didn't know what to make of it, but I knew very well, basically, I'm getting let go. This person, I don't know what their interest was in her, but after months, they knew what an awful person was. They knew how miserable, how unprofessional, and I was getting fired. So I it
Hmm.
was so much, it was so impactful that I got walked out that day as if I'd done something wrong, when I knew I had not done anything wrong. And I was very close with this group of people that I had poured into, that I had leveled up, that I had taught so much to. And it was a staff of about 15 people on that day, along with this woman who was the other provider. And so they walked me out and they said, "You need to leave our premises immediately." And I said, I'm not leaving until I say goodbye to each and every one of my colleagues who have become friends to me. And when I approached each and every one of these, now, okay, a lot of them were females. Let's say 12 out of 15 were females. And I told them, "Hey, I'm getting fired. I'm so sorry. Like, I don't know what's happening, but I want to let you know." They burst out into tears
Oh
And that
man.
was the only thing that I could hold on to in regards to like who I am, who I was, what I put into this place. And that was the moment, like long story short, Dave, when I realized I'm never fucking working for anybody but myself again. Never, because I put so much in and I'm so passionate about what I do and about people and lifting and empowering people. And the whole sense of like reality being backwards and never and it put my family and I in a really tough spot, given the circumstances. There was a lot of
Yep.
pressure on me. I had to figure out what to do, how to go out and get a job with not being able to use a reference that I had from the past year and a half. And
Yep.
so that was really what has built me into not only the businesswoman I am, but the leader and the boss that I am today to any one of my employees. All it takes is listening and making a moral and ethical move for people who make an effort and sacrifice for you. And that wasn't done for me. And just from start to finish, the whole scenario of what that was like for me and my family was really difficult. But this saying of the most difficult and the lowest moments in life make you into a stronger person, it is not an underrated phrase. I truly believe that people have not been through anything difficult uh, tend to be weaker individuals, tend to not be able to sustain difficult situations. You can throw anything at me now. It's like, no big deal. How do I approach this? What do I do? Let's figure this out. I feel so empowered now in the fact that I can do so much better for other people than what I was done to. You know the
Hmm.
phrase, do unto others as you would do. Like I'm not religious, but it's an important moral that I think is so simple but so important.
Yeah, that's awesome. You know what? You have really been through it. So you're ready for franchising. I mean,
I
that's it.
am.
You're ready to go. That's a hardcore story that you went through. I mean, just everything you went through, from giving them a second chance to, putting yourself back out there, taking the low road, doing the work. 101, you saw 101 people in a day, right? Like,
I don't know
that's just
how.
unbelievable. That's unbelievable. So you've got the work ethic. You don't mind working 24 hours, 20 hours. You'll do what it takes to get it across the finish line. And what an awesome role model in franchising, right? Because you want your franchisees to work hard, and it's going to take hard to build. It's going to be a build. So that's amazing what you've accomplished and done. So if anybody's in
One
the
thing,
go ahead.
sorry, I just want to clarify because ironically, what I prioritize for myself and for citrus franchisees, and I know this is everyone says this, and I'm trying to figure out a way to say it and actually fucking mean it. Work-life balance. What is the point of working extremely hard and not enjoying life? So I want you to know, Dave, that I've come out of that also understanding I work hard, but play harder. I love to travel. I love spending time with my kids. I have a 23-hour clinic work week right now. I do not work 24/7 right now that I have the opportunity to do things the way that I want to. And so I've created a model that is work extremely hard, a low amount of time in the week, but maximize the time that you have running the business so you can enjoy life outside of the business. So my model for citrus franchisees is not work 24/7. You work and you put 110% in during open hours. But during those open hours, I'm going to teach you how to optimize, how to become extremely profitable during that time period, and how to maximize marketing and how to maximize that time with every client that comes in, and how to increase retention rates so that you can exponentially make the most out of your marketing dollars. But what's important for franchisees to know is that I don't expect nor want you to get burnt out by working 24/7. And this is a very unique model because you're actually capable of enjoying life while running an extremely successful and profitable med spa, and being a part of a very unique and exceptional brand as well.
It sounds amazing. Are you sure I can't buy one?
In the future, you may, but right now my model is such that I will only take on those highly personally invested people. Like you said, you're trying to talk me out of the own advice you gave. Do you remember?
I know, I'm just teasing. We got to have fun on the show. We got to stick to the guns. Absolutely. I think that's the best thing, because when you stick to what you want, it's going to be amazing. And listen, I think what you've built is incredible, and why wouldn't
Thank
anybody
you.
want to do that?
I agree. It's an opportunity you can't refuse. Like the grandfather or whatever who's it's what's I shouldn't bring up phrases or movie scenes, but what's that phrase or scene from the grandfather where he's like pointing the gun? He's saying it's a, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Ralph, help me out. You're a movie guy. The grandfather's holding the gun, and he's given the phrase.
Oh, I can't
It's
remember.
not drop the gun, leave the cannoli. We know that.
Essentially, the concept in regards to citrus is it's truly an opportunity you cannot refuse. It's a no-brainer.
I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse.
Yes, that's the one. Thank you, Ralph. I'm making an offer you just cannot refuse.
I love it. And that sounds like an amazing business. So for anybody out there in Southern California who's looking to be a solopreneur, who's looking to start an amazing business with everything figured out for you, I love what you've done with the tech stack. So exciting. Great job on that. How do people get a hold of you? How do they follow you? How do they reach out and become a part of this brand that you're building?
Yeah, great question. So if you want to learn more, there's two social media platforms. So at citrus.aesthetics, citrus.aesthetics. And the best way to get more information on franchising is citrusmedspafranchise.com.
And are you on social media anywhere? If anybody wants to follow you and see what's going on in your world of travels and hard work and work hard, play hard, where can they follow you at?
That's the one, the citrus.aesthetics.
Citrus.aesthetics. All right, that's when you'll see Jessica living it up.
Yes, traveling the world truly while running a really incredible business and future global company of citrus.
I'm excited to watch you grow. That's amazing what you guys are
Thank you.
doing. Where's the best place you're traveling this year?
I have to change that to the best place I traveled was Necker Island. It was just a month ago, and it was such an incredible community and place. I had the honor of, there's 12 elders that Richard Branson created a group, him, Nelson Mandela, and 10 others, to essentially come together and address international humanity needs. And so I had the honor of being able to sleep in the suite that Nelson Mandela would typically sleep in. He was not there. And so his presence was definitely felt. And so that uniqueness of that situation of being able to kind of like be in the footsteps of such incredible world leaders was just something so surreal. And the island in itself, so Richard has created such an incredible work culture. And I set out to basically ask everyone who works on the island, what makes you enjoy and why do you love working for Richard or Virgin? And the synopsis was that because I know when I have a problem, I can go right to Richard and he'll have my back and he'll be compassionate and he'll help me and my family. So
That's amazing.
I think the steps in a successful business and successful entrepreneurship is so much simpler than a lot of people make it out to be. And it stems from just being a good, kind, respectful human being. And those interactions and the capability for Richard Branson to be so highly successful, but so highly regarded by every one of his employees as though they know him personally and know that they would have his back. That's what I strive for as the leader and owner of Citrus.
Man, that's amazing. I absolutely love it. What's one tip you would give to any aspiring or seasoned entrepreneur?
Ooh, just one.
Just one. That's it. You got to pick from the briefcase.
Don't let fear get the best of you. Take risk. Because the worst thing that can happen, especially when you ask of something of someone else, is for them to say no. But if you don't take that risk, you don't take that leap, you don't do that impossible thing that you feel is impossible, you'll never get to that next step. So be courageous, take significant risk, sometimes a crazy amount of risk where people be okay with people calling you crazy, be okay with people saying, yeah, this is never going to work out, this isn't a smart idea, this isn't a good idea. Just go for it. Take a chance and go for it.
I love it. Take risk. Take a chance, go for it. Don't let fear get the best of you. Take risks. All right, I've got my final question for you, and it's my favorite question. We've got a whiteboard, a billboard. It's on the side of the road. It's completely blank. It can say whatever you want. What do you want to tell the world?
Be kind and plant joy worldwide.
All right, I'm writing it down. I love it. That was awesome. Listen, I've had such a great time hanging out with you today. It's been an absolute honor to have you on the show. Your entrepreneurial journey is inspiring. It's incredible. It's amazing. And I love what you're building. You've done an amazing job, from putting in incredible hours at work to finding that, you know what, I'm not doing this for someone else. I'm not building someone else's future. I'm building my own for myself and my family. And the goal is to build a global brand. I absolutely love it. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much. And truly, to be able to be in a position where I create that potential for so many other people. Accessibility to entrepreneurship is a big concept that I didn't really touch on. And that's so important. So now, I've established it for myself, and I want to be able to gift that to others. And I really mean that. I'm not looking to build an empire to become world famous. In a sense, I know Citrus will become a recognized household name in aesthetics through the process, but I'm not doing it for self-honor. I'm doing it because I know that this will benefit so many other people and so many other clients also who are coming into med spas and trusting aesthetic providers with their face and their future.
Awesome. That's amazing. You heard it here first. If you're looking to get accessible entrepreneurship, if you're in Southern California, reach out to Jessica. Citrus Aesthetics, absolutely incredible. This has been The Entrepreneurial Journey. I'm your host, Dave Westcott. We're back 9:15 a.m. Pacific Standard Time every Tuesday. Give us a like, give us a share, drop your comments into the comment box, and we'll get back with you. Thank you so much for joining the show.
Thank you so much, Dave. It's been a real pleasure and honor talking to you, and I can't wait for our future conversations.
The pleasure is mine.
Thank you.
Mike Bott from Frost Solutions, one of the owners of the company. What we do is provide a mini weather station to give you a tailored forecast to those particular locations, so you know where and when and what to do in those parts of town. There's 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 different ways that people can experience tremendous value having a technology like this.
Introducing the all-new Western Enforcer V-Plow. Engineered with all the features, efficiency, and performance of full-size Western V-Plows, built specifically for your half-ton truck. For more information, visit westernplows.com.